SwoleBenji here. Today we're going to be discussing a PvE tank build. This is a tank build for dungeons to maximize your damage mitigation, maximize your health, and maximize your threat generation. So let's get right into it. You're going to be pumping all into Constitution. Every single point that you get, all of it. And when you hit level 60, you will have 195 points into Constitution. Next slide. Alright, so this is the talent tree for swords and shields. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your defender tree. You're going to get shield rush. What that does is make you run forward and bash people with a shield. Then you're going to get shield bash. And that is a taunt. So when you have a carnelian gem in your weapon, when you use shield bash, which is right here, you will stun targets in front of you in kind of a little AoE cone. It's not really that big. It's actually kind of small. And it's going to taunt everyone and stun them. And then this second little perk right here dramatically increases your threat. After that, you're going to go over here and get Defiant Stance, which gives you Fortify and makes you real tanky. So you're going to, after that, get the rest of Defiant Stance, and there you go. That's all you technically need for the early dungeons. You don't need anything else. Though it does help, of course. Up here, this gives you 15% armor. This gives you stamina reduction for blocking. You can just open your weapons menu and check out the rest of these. The order isn't that important, but I do recommend, after getting Defiant Stance and maxing it out, to go here to Shield Rush and get this second ability, because it will weaken enemies, meaning that they will deal less damage to you, which is technically more defensives. Now, once you've gotten all of these perks on Defender, that's when you go to Swordmaster. You're going to pick this one up, which gives you in power when you use a heavy attack, which is not really important. You won't be heavy attacking much, but this second perk is amazing. What this second perk does is when you do a heavy attack, you will cleanse one debuff off of you. So if a boss monster, like a raid boss or a high-end dungeon boss, gives you a really bad spell, weakens you, poisons you, bleeds you, whatever it is, just do one heavy attack and it goes away. It's really, really nice. And that is the build. You will have this maxed out super quick if you are a tank, because tanking dungeons gives you so much weapon experience. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the items. Now this, for those that don't know about in-game crafting, to craft and get all of these perks on your weapon is like an 8% chance, a 2% chance, a 2% chance, and a 2% chance. And if you have the crafting mod to add one of these to your weapon, you can take away one of those 2% chances, but it's still extremely hard to craft and roll these items, especially at 600 gear score. To get 600 gear score materials will take you a good chunk of your day, and you will probably have to craft thousands of these swords to get all three of these. But let's take a look, okay? You want 15 Constitution or 15 Strength on your items, pretty much, because that's all we're using, okay? You need a Carnelian Gem in your weapon so that you can taunt, okay? Here's how taunt works in the game. When you taunt a target that you do not have aggro on, you jump to the highest point of the aggro table equal to whoever had aggro. So let's say that there's an invisible value of aggro, and let's say the musket guy who's using yesterday's build, go check it out on my channel, the glass cannon build. So he's using the glass cannon build in the dungeon, which it's a PvP build, but whatever. And he has aggro. So let's say he has 1,000 aggro points and you have like 20. When you taunt a target, you now have equal to that person's aggro. So you will now have 1,001, because it's going to put you over, aggro points, okay? And then after that, it's up to you to attack the mobs. And for those that don't know, you can generate threat by attacking a mob, blocking a mob, crowd controlling a mob. Those are basically it, and then, of course, taunts. So, you need a Carnelian Gem so that you generate more threat with your everything, like blocking. When you block an enemy mob's attack, it generates aggro, okay? You don't have to, like, spam cylinders like in World of Warcraft. But you absolutely need a taunt gem in your weapon because you are the tank. Alright, so perks. You want Refreshing Move because just attacking will reduce your cooldowns, and your cooldowns are everything as a tank. Lifesteal will just give you more sustain. This one's really not mandatory, but it's the nicest one out of the bunch. And then moving 20% faster while blocking, while you don't really need it, it's just nice to have, okay? You can alternatively go for a full luck set instead on easier dungeons to farm better items. Alright, so now let's talk about the shield, okay? You want to go with a tower shield, and the reason you want a tower shield over any other shield for PvE dungeons is your block stability. This is how much stamina damage reduction you get. It is the most important stat on the shield, and that's what you want, okay? So for gems, you need to alternate between all of your equipment. That's your helmet, your gloves, your chest, your boots, etc. You need to alternate between cut pristine diamonds and cut pristine malachite, okay? And what that does, it gives you 1.9 physical, 0.63 elemental, or 1.9 elemental and 0.3 physical. You want to have both of these, okay? By the end of gearing everything and with your perks and your passives, you'll have about 17% damage reduction from this, okay? And the reason you don't want to just grab a physical gem or just a magical gem is because it's only 2.5%, whereas this one is 2.53%. I know, it's only 0.3% times 10, so you get... You get a 0.3% increase if you do it this way, okay? I know we're min-maxing. That's how we do it on the channel. Okay, so Fortifying Shield Rush. This is what you want on your armor, just to start. Fortifying Shield Rush. So when you Shield Rush, you gain 19% Fortify. That's amazing. That's huge, okay? Sturdy will give you less stamina damage while blocking. That's also pretty damn good. And Keenly Fortified is if you happen to crit while you swing your sword around, you get 10% Fortify. All right. The rest of the stuff is you're just going to grab like wards, okay, like thrust ward, lightning ward, etc. on the rest of your gear. So here's the armor now. Now here's the important thing about armor. You want to use the heavy variant, okay? So there's orichalcum breastplate, and then there's orichalcum heavy breastplate, and then there's orichalcum fur breastplate. And the difference is that the breastplate averages the elemental and physical damage reduction. Okay, the heavy focuses on physical damage reduction. Now, let me tell you right now, in the game, out of all of the dungeons and all of the instances and all of that stuff, the majority of things that you will fight are physical damage, including bosses. Yes, there are some bosses with magical AoE spells, but they are not going to be lethal to you, okay? So you want to focus on heavy. That way you will have the most damage reduction possible for the most attacks possible, okay? All right, so you're going to fill it with, you want to have all the refreshing perks, and what that does is there's a perk where you just have 2.8% cooldown reduction. There's another one that gives you 2.8 cooldown reduction when you block 5 times, which when you have like 8 mobs on you, you're going to be constantly blocking, and your cooldowns are just going to just zip right through and be completely back up. It's amazing to have. There's one other refreshing one where, I forget, I think it's when you dodge or something. You also want wards, of course, like, beast wards and Ancient Earth wards and Lightning ward, all that stuff. And that's just 4.8 damage reduction on those mobs or those attacks. All right? And of course, you alternate Cut Pristine Diamond and Malachite in that gear as well. Now, also, one other thing that you want on your tank set is this one. It's called Fortifying Rain of Arrows. So what you do is when you cast Rain of Arrows with a bow, you're going to get Fortify for 19%, which is huge. And you're going to get 22 seconds of Fortify. Now, I can't confirm if this has been nerfed, because a lot of things that have changed in the closed and open beta is that when you cast a spell with an offhand like this, and when you switch back to your sword and shield, it removes it. I don't know if this gets removed upon switch. I was never able to test it in open beta. It worked in closed beta. This worked in closed beta. And I didn't see it in the patch notes. All right, so for rings, you want Hardy, which gives you maximum stamina. So you will have 109.5 stamina, which is great, because that's almost like an extra block. I see so many tanks that don't have this. It's like, what the heck, dude? Crippling gives you a longer slow. Now, when you shield rush, you slow the enemy. And enfeebling gives you a longer enfeeble. When you shield rush, you also enfeeble. So you want a ring with this. I know it's not that much higher. It doesn't really give you too much longer of a slow, but these are the best perks you can get on a ring for defenses. Earrings, you want regeneration, which is 0.48% life. This is about half as effective as a food buff, like a travel ration, okay? So you definitely want this. Nimble gives you stamina regeneration by 9.5%, which doesn't sound like much, but it helps. Okay, Refreshing Toast will give you a 28% potion cooldown reduction. You're going to be chugging potions in like the level 66 dungeons, so you absolutely want this on your earring. And then finally for amulets, you want 9.4% max HP. You want Purify. Purify is basically your PvP trinket if you played WoW. It cleanses debuffs when you reach 50% HP, which will save your freaking life, okay? Because bleeds really, really hurt in dungeons. Okay, and then Divine will give you 9.5% more healing received. If you don't have Divine, healers will hate you, okay? And then if you want bags, you want luck, extra pockets, and A's off the tune. And like I said, if you're doing easier dungeons, use a plus luck set, all with pristine pearls. because you're just farming items. You don't really need to be tanky on lower level dungeons when you're max level anyway, okay, guys? So let's talk about defenses and stacking, okay? So here's how you're going to get 300 Constitution, okay? You get 15 from the weapon, 15 from the shield, 25, 25, and 25 from the chest, helmet, gloves. You can also mix these up. It doesn't have to be chest, helmet, and gloves. But that'll give you 300 Constitution, okay? So when you have 300 Constitution, you get 20% more healing for potions, 10% max HP of physical armor, which I will talk about how much that's going to be at in-game. It's actually not that much. It's like 300. It still helps. It's 300 HP, you know? Like, take it, man. 10% less crit damage taken, 20% increased armor, 80%... Okay, here, this thing got nerfed. I'm pretty sure this got nerfed. 80% damage reduction with full life. I think it's like 30% now or something. I don't know how much it is because none of the guide websites out there have this updated, and I can't find it in the patch notes. And I made this a long time ago, guys. I made this back in, like, one of the alphas, I forget. So 20% increased duration on stuns, roots, and slows. This isn't too big. It's not really that big of a deal. And then for strength, you just get 25 from the pants, shoes, amulet, earring, and here's the kicker, right? That's going to put you at 130 strength, but if you eat a supreme omelet, that'll give you 20 more strength, and that'll put you at 150. So there you go. And to make a supreme omelet, you use sausage, tomato, onion, mushroom, and cheese. It's very simple. Now, with all of this equipped, all at level 600 gear score, you're going to have 2,275.2 armor and 1,562.8 elemental armor, and we're going to talk about that in just a little while, okay? But I want to also go over the defensive perks. I'm not going to read all these out loud. You can pause the video and read them, okay? This is from items and perks on the items. And also this little chunk over here because I ran out of room. So you can see all the defensive bonus. This is just defensive bonuses. I did not list offensive bonuses because we are a tank. This is not about being offensive in the video, okay? This is about being defensive. All right, so weapon mastery defense perks. Here you go. You can pause the video. I'm going to go to the next slide so I don't make this video too long. All right, so this is theory crafting defense. The maximum amount of fortify that you can have as a character is 50%. If you have more fortify buffs that would push you over 50%, the game will only allow you to have 50%. Okay, this was nerfed from the closed beta. Now, the maximum weakness that you can apply to enemies is 50%. However, as just a tank, you can get like more than 10%, really. All right, now you can stack a max weaken with a max fortify, and the enemy will hit like a wet noodle, okay? Unless it's like a level 66 raid boss, but even in that case, it's still something that you would maybe consider in your raid composition or your part of your group. All right, so your base armor and your base elemental armor will be increased by 35% through perks and items. All right, and then this damage calculation is based on Reddit formulas. I don't know if Reddit is correct or not, so you can chew me up in the comments if you want. I'm just trusting them, okay? You will have 3,071 armor, which is a 75% damage reduction, and elemental armor is 2,109, which is 69% damage reduction. I'm so like not mature, guys. Now, 3,071 armor will give you 307 HP. All right, it's not that much. Now, with all your gems and all your perks and all your wards, you will have 17.45% physical and elemental damage reduction from gems and perks. Now, here you go. Now, if a healer keeps you topped off, you will have damage reduction. It's not 80% anymore. And I even said back in the day that this is going to get nerfed. I predicted it, dudes. Now, the tankiest level 60 footage I have found on the internet, he had about 15,000 HP, and he had a gear score of 560. So you can probably expect to push maybe 16k or so. Maybe not. So expect to have about 15,000 HP, okay, guys? And that's without consumables. So now, here's the thing. Like, this infused endurance potion, guys. I don't know if this is going to ever get fixed, but I tested this out in closed beta. And it doesn't have to be the tier 5. You can use like tier 4, tier 3, any of those. But if you use this, your stamina regeneration will immediately start. You don't have to wait like the 1 or 2 seconds after you put your shield down for it to start going back up. It's very overpowered. It trivializes dungeons. Now, this buff only lasts 1 minute. So you kind of have to chug them. And they can get expensive, the tier 5. Well, you don't have to have tier 5. I also have alternatives. You can also switch to a spear and get a similar buff that does the same thing. And we'll talk about that in a sec. So let's talk about bosses, raid bosses, in-game damage dealing stuff. Okay, so a level 55 boss will do an AoE magic spell that will hit a healer in heavy armor which is not going to be a thing anymore, for 3,500 magic damage. Now, a healer in heavy armor will be expected to have about, if they have the balance one, it's going to be like 1,700 at 600 gear score. My character had around 1,300 elemental damage armor, so that's with no other mitigation, because the healer is, just off in the distance, and they got hit by a magical wave. As a tank, you can expect to take about 1,300 damage with Fortify up, and you can lower this more with consumables and if the enemy is weakened. And if you're not at full HP, you can expect to take about 1,750 damage, which does not factor in this 80%, because this factors in 80%. It's not 80% anymore, so it's going to be a little more than 1,300. Okay, just expect to be hit up for about 1,750 magic damage out of 15,000 HP. And I'm going to skip this one just for a sec. Healers using Sacred Ground are going to heal you for about 800 damage per tick, and then you're going to heal 1% of 15,000, which will be 1,500. No, 150. So you're going to heal about 950 damage per tick, which means in 2 ticks you mitigate this damage. Okay, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, Scylla, which is, I believe, I'm not going to spoil it. Watch my other videos, is a level 66 dungeon boss, and she's going to hit you for about 3,375 with heavy cleaves, and this is like swing, right? So you're going to block like 2 of those, you're going to be staggered after 2 blocks, and then you're going to take 2 hits, okay? And this is with her at 9 damage stacks, okay? Because she has a buff where she stacks her damage up, okay? I'm not going to tell you how the raid mechanics work. I'm sure someone will make a video on that eventually. I probably won't, because I'm not much of a PvE guy, but and if you don't have this is without Fortify, so if you had Fortify, you would mitigate at least half of this easy. Now, if you block it, it's about 53 stamina damage, but if you have the proper gear, you could block 3 hits, okay? And she's going to hit you about 4 to 5 times with it. Healers, I already went over that. So here's the thing, right? Here's your order of, like, operation, right? Or, no, this is how to get Fortify stacks. You can pull a mob with Rain of Arrows for 19%. You gain another 19% with Shield Rush. As you swing, you might get a 10% from a crit. If you block an attack, you get 10%. You get 30% Fortify. You get 30% Fortify when you use Defiant Stance if you're below 50% HP. But if you use it when you're above 50%, HP, you will gain 50% Fortify, which is the maximum. Like I said up here at the top, it's the maximum Fortify when you cast Defiant Stance. And there's no real reason to go over 50 because it caps at 50, okay? But your healer, if they're a good healer, they should be applying 20% to you at all times. And finally, this is the meta, guys. I'm going to call it right now. You can come back to this video a year from now and tell me that I was right. Or maybe I'll be wrong and you can tell me I was wrong. But listen, a second tank in PvP or PvE will give you 30% more damage reduction, and you will be giving him 30% more damage reduction, okay? So a main and an off tank will be the in-game PvE, PvP meta, okay? It just will. All right. And then finally, offhand combos. I didn't do this in the last video because I'm kind of waiting on Void Gauntlet, but here we go. So bows give you that 22-second Fortify. It's really easy to get. It's a nice weapon to pull mobs with. Spear has 30% stamina regeneration when your stamina is below 50%. This is a ghetto endurance potion. It's just active all the time. It also sometimes bugs out and lets you move at full speed when it over-encumbered for gatherers out there. I think they're going to fix that when the game releases. And then Invigorate. 25 stamina per hit from Maelstrom. Is it Maelstrom or Maelstorm? I don't know. If you AoE 4 mobs, you immediately have 100 stamina. And it pushes them back and it slows them down. So it gives you plenty of time to switch back to your Sword and Shield. Okay, and then of course, if you're using a Spear, you use Sweep and Vault Kick, which has a taunt and a stun. So the Rapier has Riposte, which is a taunt. It's an AoE taunt. 4-second taunt all foes within 5 meters, which is not that far away. You need to be really close when you do it. And you're going to taunt them. They're going to hit you. You're going to counterattack and stun them. All right, and then Evade. If you use Evade, that's immediately 20 stamina. And then if you use Flourish, that's 20 stamina. And then if you use Finish, that's another 20 or 19 stamina. Why is it 19? Just make it 20. Make it line up with the rest of them, okay? So that is 59 free stamina instantly and a taunt, and then you switch back to your Sword and Shield, okay? So the Warhammer has Frailty, okay? And what that's going to do is weaken their damage by 10%, which is effectively defensive for us. And then you can just dump all your stuns because it's Warhammer. That's what Warhammer is. It's not an auto attack weapon. It's a, I'm going to just cast all my spells and switch off. So you got Path of Destiny, which is a stagger. You got Shockwave, which is a stun. And then you have Wrecking Ball, which is a flatten, which I guess is a knockdown. I don't know why they changed the names, okay? And then Shockwave is also a taunt. And get this, it is a 6-second taunt. And it's like a cone forward AoE. This thing it's a really good offhand for tanks. If you like PvP, use a Warhammer. If you're fighting like tons of little trash mobs, use the Warhammer. I wouldn't use this on bosses because you can't flatten or stun or stagger bosses. So yeah, and then also it applies Rend, which increases the damage they take when you have the perk. Then there's the Ice Gauntlet. This is my favorite pick for off tank. This is what I am going to use when I tank dungeons. I'm going to be using the Ice Gauntlets. So the Ice Gauntlets have a perk, it's like a level 1 perk. And when you block with the Ice Gauntlet, it takes your mana and turns it into stamina, okay? So all you gotta do is like, it's only 3 mana to 15 stamina, dude. Like when you have 100 mana, and if you want to chug a mana potion to take up the spot of an endurance potion, you can absolutely do that. And if you have mana regeneration, which I haven't got to play with, so I can't make a guide on mana regeneration, but yeah, mana regeneration, you could probably block forever. Okay, Ice Gauntlets have a 25%, what's it called, block stability. You're going to have another 15 because you're in heavy armor. And you can just sit there and just convert your mana to stamina, and when you have stamina, you can swap back to Sword and Shield. And then block again, and then you'll have your mana back, and then you swap it. You're never going to be staggered, okay? And then, of course, there is Entomb. If you really get in trouble and your healer's, like, disconnected and you're about to die, you put yourself in Entomb after drinking a potion and eating a food buff. And what that's going to do is, I didn't list it here, but there's a lot of perks on the Frost Tree that give you defensives when you Entomb yourself. Like, you heal a bit and you get extra fortified defenses, okay? And what this does is, this is going to cleanse all of your debuffs. Okay, so like say the boss bleeds, weakens, poisons, diseases, and you're just all of them, okay? You're just like dying of what I was sick with like 3 weeks ago. You're just going to put yourself in an entombment, and this will also let you regenerate your mana and your stamina as you're entombed. And you're still going to hold aggro, and then when you bust out of the entomb, that's free damage. And also, you're going to apply slow because it's a frost spell. You're going to have them be frosted because it's a frost spell. It's just the best offhand. I think it's the best offhand. There's one more offhand to talk about, sort of, and that is the Life Staff. Okay, I don't have a lot of experience with the Life Staff. If you want to learn more about Life Staff and Sword and Board, there is a dedicated YouTuber named Sir Medieval. He's kind of the big boy on YouTube. He's like the Asmongold of this game. Even though Asmongold's going to play this game, but no, he's the big boy. Go watch his channel. You can learn how to use Life Staff combined with Sword and Shield. I don't really have any experience doing it. I did a little bit in the open beta, but I don't know. You just like buff yourself by casting spells at your feet, and then you heal yourself, and then you switch to Sword and Shield, and then you tank. And that's pretty much it. He calls it the Paladin build, which makes sense, you know, like. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, go check him out if you want to learn more about the Life Staff as an offhand. But I'm going to be using Ice Gauntlet. And maybe Bow for like crappier dungeons. Or I don't know, man. Like 22 seconds of Fortify is amazing. Alright, that's the build. I'm SwoleBenji. Thanks for watching. As always, be a bro and stay swole. And there's a lot of comments that are like, oh, how are you making these newbie guides and stuff, man? Like, we're all newbies. No, we're not all newbies, okay? Alpha players got over 4,000 to 5,000 hours in this game. Beta players like me that have no life have 400 to 500 hours just in the betas. Okay? So anyway, what I need you to do now is leave a like and a comment. If you do both, it is an algorithm cheat code. It is a YouTube combo. It really helps me out. I just helped you out today, so please help me out. I really do appreciate it. You'll get some good karma for doing so. And also subscribe. 80% of you aren't subscribed. I know these videos show up in your feed. You know, you refresh YouTube's main front page, and there's my video, right? But if you subscribe, you might get to see some other fun stuff. I make a lot of other fun things too. Not just, New World content, but hey, at some point, it might not show up on your front page anymore because that's how YouTube works. So if you subscribe, you won't miss any guides like this. So I really do appreciate you guys watching this, and I will see you tomorrow because I make daily videos. So tune in this same time tomorrow, and I'll have a new video for you.